Not long after we finished our grand entrance, I look over at the car and notice the hot metal dripping down from the roof of the car inside. Before long, the car was engulfed in flames right there on the field. And roughly the same time, the spray paint cans that were inside started exploding. Hey everybody, welcome to Youth Group Chronicles. I have Pastor Chad here today and Dustin Co. You guys have done this together once. You've both been on the show quite a few times, but it's good to have you here. If this is your first time listening, this is where my co-hosts blind react to youth group and youth ministry stories that are sent in from youth pastors. They're sent in from leaders. They're sent in from parents who had kids that went to youth group.
Teens send them in.
Teens, yeah. So it's all of the above. And if you have one that comes to mind, email us at ygchronicles@gmail.com. With that being said, we will kick this off with some email submissions. This is from Kirsten Berger. That's a good last name. I want that last name.
I want that last name, man.
My worst youth ministry fail happened on our way to a youth conference in Atlanta. About an hour before we arrived, my youth pastor got a call that the Airbnb we were staying at had been broken into. We were left stranded for an hour once we got to Atlanta because we had to wait to see what they wanted us to do. An hour later, we got a call from Airbnb that they said they had another one ready for us 10 minutes away. But when we got to our new Airbnb, we found a random man walking around with a bat.
All right, guys.
And going home.
Yep.
This is Chester.
Yep. He's our security. He's actually paid.
With a bat.
There's no clarification on if this person was like in the Airbnb or like pacing the driveway. Like either way, like I'm out. Time for a hotel.
He's like, you just keep driving by that one.
That
Like,
can't
that's
be
a guy
ours.
with a bat. Okay, let's find another one.
Yo, one time I was driving. I wasn't driving. I was riding in a car, and no one else saw this. But there were probably 45 people in our car, and we were on our way to like a baseball tournament or something.
Big car.
And there was a carpool. No, there was this guy that came running around the side of a house and cracked this guy over the head with a bat. They were like, there were two people arguing, and it was getting heated. It looks like as we were driving by, like 55 mile an hour. And some guy came out running behind one of the guys and just swung this guy to the ground. Smashed on the out cold.
Were they on cops?
You're right.
I don't know.
You witnessed like
I feel like I witnessed
maybe.
either a murder or an attempted murder, and everyone in the car caravan and in the vehicle that I was in, no one saw it. I was like, guys, did you just? And it was like, what? What are you talking about? No one saw it. I promise it happened. I promise it happened.
We believe you.
I believe.
Sure.
You're a trustworthy man.
I was also like 13, so it's not like I get out and like help. But this is another email submission. This is from Jonathan Slater. Jonathan said, "One year at camp, we accidentally lit a car on fire."
Nope.
When I attended camp, every day we had what we called a special event. The special event is part of our week-long competition between the two teams the camp is split into. Before every event, we have what's called team entrances. This year for the entrances, we had a prop, and basically each team had like a gutted four-door sedan. The sun was setting, and each of the team did their big entrance to on the camp soccer field, and my team went second. So what we did is we first lit a fire on the roof of the car, and then we pushed the car across the field right up to the front bumper of the other team's car. Not long after we finished our grand entrance, I look over at the car and notice the hot metal dripping down from the roof of the car inside. Before long, the car was engulfed in flames right there on the field. And roughly the same time, the spray paint cans that were inside started exploding everywhere, and everyone was still on the field at this point. At the end of the night, we had the charred remains of a four-door sedan.
That wasn't even an accident, though.
That's so cool.
It is cool.
I want to be part of this youth group.
Right?
What the heck?
Like having plasma just drip from like a gutted sedan. But that's not an accident.
I don't think they meant to engulf it in flames. I think they lit like a little campfire on top to be intimidating, and soon enough the entire thing was just completely on fire.
That's a cool youth pastor though. Like, shout out to you. You let your kids I mean, you shouldn't have, right? Like you shouldn't have done it, but you let your kids light a fire on their car as they're pushing it. Yeah.
I feel like if your dad was a youth pastor now, he would do something.
That man
like
lets
that for sure.
Your dad has some crazy stories.
Yeah. And again, he came on the show, right?
He did. He wouldn't share anything though.
Right. No,
he shared like 3
refuse
stories.
to even come on with him.
Because, he's like, I've been warned that I can't share stories on this because they're too, I don't know if they're explicit or whatever. He's like, I have a name for myself now and I got to be good. And I'm like, you know what you can do is you can email ygchronicles@gmail.com and say, I want to remain anonymous. I'm like, there's your opportunity right there. Okay. So we'll see if you hear an anonymous story that you're like, that sounds oddly familiar.
Yep.
It was your dad.
Yep. No question.
Yep.
This is an email submission from Michael Steven.
I was going to say, there we go.
Let's tell you. Michael Spencer. My most embarrassing youth ministry fail was when I sent an email to all 125 staff members at my church's Christian school to ask the teachers to keep the students focused during chapel. What I meant to say is if you see a student sleeping, just give him or her a gentle nudge. Oh, no. But what I actually spelled in the email was give them a genital nudge.
Oochie goochie goo.
Proofread your emails, my guy.
Oh,
hey, and wait, what was his position again?
They were a youth pastor. They sent 125 staff members at my church's Christian school.
And he's the youth pastor.
I believe he's a youth pastor, yeah.
When they're in...
Just give him a gentle nudge. Just give
a little tap.
Just give him a little tap, tap, tap.
Please see this video demonstration.
Yeah. Oh, no. Man, that's bad.
Oh, man. Was this before spell check or like?
I don't know, man. I've let some emails slip too.
Because like I'm thinking about the keyboard. Look at your keyboard, Sam, right in front of you.
Yes.
Where's the E? Where's the A? How do you spell gentle and how do you spell genital?
I mean, they both start with G.
Yep.
There's no way.
You've never like typed so fast you kind of just like accidentally throw some extra stuff in there.
What about if he was texting it?
Yeah. Talk to text.
My
Siri
whole point,
hates me.
That's true.
My whole point is spelling gentle and spelling genital.
This guy's never sent an email that has had
dude, I'm telling
a misspelling. This he gets mad about this every time. He like thinks about it afterward. He's like, man, I can't believe they sent an email. Come on, man.
Well, I'm the guy like scrolling through like social media. If there's like a grammar error or something, I just comment an asterisk and say it's T-O, not T-O-O. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
On someone else's stuff? Or your?
Oh, of course.
I mean, I do it to be funny. Yeah. However, if it's like,
I'm being helpful.
No, you're not.
No, the funniest thing to do is when there's like a heated social media argument and you say, in your response, first you correct their spelling and then...
They lost, right? Like if you're trying to insult somebody and you spell something wrong...
You are alpha male immediately at that point.
Like it's like, no, it's Y-O-U.
You just put the little asterisk and then you state your case.
And then read a book and then...
and then insult. And you already lost. Doesn't matter what else I say.
Oh, by the way, Jesus loves you very much.
Yes.
Very much.
But it's also fun to be a troll.
Yes.
These are embarrassing stories.
Yes.
One of my favorite segments here. This is from Jeffrey. Jeffrey said, I accidentally preached a whole sermon on sexual immortality.
Oh, gosh.
Again?
This was someone else, yes.
Immortality.
I want to know how many times they said that.
Sexually immortal.
What does it mean to be sexually immortal?
That means you're... Never mind.
I said this last time because someone else sent in a story very similar like months ago. It sounds like something Dwight Schrute would say.
Yes.
Yes. My seed is immortal.
This is from Blake. Blake said, one time I preached a whole youth group sermon with my pants unzipped. My students had to tell me after I was done preaching the message.
At least they had enough reverence for the word to sit through it.
That's bad.
Your pants unzipped.
Has it ever happened to you?
I have like so much, I don't know what, anxiety around that. Like I check my zipper like 30 times before I ever get up and like preach, teach, anything like that.
Fair.
Like I like after I go to the bathroom, I check like 30 times because that is actually one of my greatest fears is to preach an entire sermon with
there's
my
like
zipper
stuff
down.
that I learned from the show that I'm like, I'm now not self-conscious, but I have like, I'm anxious about. Yeah. One of the stories was the guy that like, the poop massacre, basically.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where now I carry a bag of clothes in each of my vehicles.
Because I was on that episode.
Yeah.
That for me is my favorite episode that there's
That's
ever
so
been.
good. That was so good.
That was a
The
great
friend,
story.
like what you were saying,
Yeah.
like I'm not that friend.
No, I'm not that friend.
I'm
Don't
not
call
that
me.
friend.
Neither am I. I would have been like, yeah, I'm busy, bro.
I would have showed up with a camera on video.
But with the zipper like being undone, I'm actually very bad with that.
Really?
Does it happen often?
In the first month that Emily gave birth, and Hannah was home, and we were hanging out. Emily really wanted like some really good coffee, and she didn't want like the stuff that we make at home, so I went to Starbucks. And I open I come in the front door. She's sitting and she's nursing Hannah, and I was like, "Hey, I got your stuff," and she goes, "Check your zipper."
Oh no. She's like,
I just did a tour around town. What are you talking about?
Just showed everybody.
And that's not the first time
Yeah.
that I've come home.
Yeah.
And
it's
she had to
happened.
be the one to tell you?
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Actually, I could see Emma.
Because then
saying
you're
that
running
exact
through
way.
everything in your brain, like, crap, where did I go?
Yeah.
Who was
saw
I
me?
standing next to?
I love it.
This
But you
is
know what?
from...
You're strong. You're a strong,
Yes.
independent man.
It's okay.
You know.
I'm very comfortable with my masculinity, and that's not toxic masculinity.
That's right.
It's me.
This is from Pamela. Pamela said, my most embarrassing youth ministry story was when I was ministering to a group of teens trying to say, don't leave your Bible sitting on the shelf. Somehow, sitting ended up with an H in there.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
She's never living that down.
That's another story that seems to make its way onto this show
Pamela,
quite a bit.
that's fantastic.
That word specifically.
Great. You're doing
Yep.
life-changing
Pam,
work.
if you wanted to leave a mark on people and they never forget,
Pun intended.
you tell them not to leave your Bible sitting on the table with an H.
Steven said, this is my most embarrassing youth ministry story. As a young youth pastor, I took our students to a youth convention. We had some free time between services, so we all went to the mall. We were goofing off in the mall at a sporting goods store. I was acting like I could pick up a weight set that they had for sale on the floor, which was probably 450 to 500 pounds. So in front of all the kids, I went to attempt to pick this thing up, but I ripped my pants from my belt loops to mid-calf. Complete tear in front of everyone standing there.
That's insane. I don't know how you do that. That's a lot of force.
That's a lot of force.
At least he didn't like crap his pants at the same time.
That is my worst fear.
Or like throw
We're
up.
all going through worst fears here.
Yeah.
My worst fear is like at the gym. Imagine doing like back squats or deadlifts and just
crap
like
your
game
pants.
over. Oh no. No, thank you.
So he saw this weight lift set thing.
Youth pastors have this
They're in
urge,
competition, right?
literally
Yep.
in competition to
With
show off for the
16-year-olds,
kids. I feel like that's 90% of male youth pastors. Maybe not the girls, but
I remember one of the episodes that you were on, you were like, okay, there's like, you have to be a bad driver, you can't count,
yeah.
kind of a thing.
Did I insult people like that?
Yes, you did. You're like, you said this is on the job application. Like, these are things that you have
did
to
say
fill
that.
out.
I apologize formally.
I don't. It's hilarious.
I think it's hilarious.
And then, so there's like a slight caveat to that then, which is like, hey, if you see something stupid and you want to show off,
Yep.
you have to do it.
Yep.
Right? So just add that, just tack that as the third.
I mean, just think about it. Like, how many times does my brother, as a
kids.
youth pastor, just like hurt an innocent kid? Like, he's the guy that's like showing off, picks up a dodgeball and is like, oh yeah, let me just throw it. And he throws it and it either like breaks a light that's like $5,000 or like breaks an innocent girl's arm that's like
it's either
just
something
hanging there.
really expensive
Yeah.
or human life.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
nothing in between.
He does. I remember what your dad said. Oh, your dad, not your dad.
Ooh.
He was like, yeah, he does nothing soft.
He does.
Does nothing soft, and that's when Isaiah lost it. But you know,
Isaiah many times was like, you can't say that on those episodes. If you're listening to this for the first time, season 2 was when we featured Pastor Michael Spencer. Those were some good episodes.
Listen, it's good.
That was fun having him on.
It's good stuff.
This is from Thea. Thea said, I learned the hard way that you should always screen your media before youth group events.
Yes.
I found a Christian dubstep playlist on Spotify and listened to the single hour-long track for about 20 minutes. We had a Christmas party I was prepping for, and there wasn't a single word in this entire song during the 20-minute duration that I listened to. During the Christmas party, a lull in the noise happened, and everybody got quiet for a minute. That's when you cue Chevy Chase's vulgarity-filled rant in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. You could hear a pin drop as I ran faster than I've ever ran to the computer.
That is beautiful.
Bleep, 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 bleep. Where's the Tylenol?
I was like, I can't remember what clip that
Because
was.
that, for me, that's the best Christmas movie.
Yes.
National Lampoon's
Great movie. Yeah.
Christmas Vacation.
When I was
Hallelujah.
when I was younger, I would say probably 12 or 13. We went to a friend's house, and he was good with like video editing and stuff. And being more sheltered growing up, one of the things that
Homeschooled.
Yeah,
That's what I meant.
you could say homeschooled. Fill in the blank. Right.
You could say it. It's fine.
Being raised in a sheltered Christian home.
Yes.
We weren't allowed to watch, for example, that movie.
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
this family that we were friends with, their dad edited the movie down and just cut out like every cuss word, all the explicit scenes,
This was
whatever.
like 5 minutes.
There was not much left in the movie. However, there was that scene in the movie, and I just remember my first time watching it, he gets extremely pissed off at, what was his brother, right?
So
the uncle?
So he was supposed to get a bonus.
Yes.
And he got a jelly collection instead of a monetary check.
Yes. And he was livid. And then he goes on to this rampage that they obviously played in front of all their kids in the story.
Awesome.
But what I remember as a kid is he got livid and then all of a sudden he's calm and he says, "Where's the towel?" So it cut out like 5 minutes of this guy just like cussing up a storm. And that's all I remember is like red face to like calm down, asking where the towel, or I don't even know if it was Tylenol, maybe it was ibuprofen, whatever.
He does say Tylenol.
Okay, it was?
Yes.
Okay, good. I remembered
Solid.
correctly then. But yeah, that's a little peek into my
a good movie.
childhood there. Great movie.
You don't have to watch
Don't
it.
watch it with kids.
You're
I'll
fine.
say that.
No kids, please.
Yes. Don't watch it at youth group.
I actually used a clip of it for in a young adult
Did you
service.
really?
Yeah.
What'd you use?
Uncle, what's the uncle? What's the crazy?
Whoever he
Eddie?
is, he's the best
Eddie.
guy in
Yeah,
the movie.
yeah.
Uncle
I
Eddie.
did like a whole sermon around like I don't even remember. I just remembered I played a clip of that movie.
I'm going to need that sermon sent to me because I need it.
I don't even know why I did it. It's a terrible choice.
This is from Garrett. Garrett said, "My most embarrassing youth ministry story happened during an altar call at fall retreat.
Good.
A guy brought his girlfriend who wasn't a regular attender to our youth group, and during the altar call prayer, I stood behind the guy and his girlfriend, and then I put one hand on his shoulder and one hand on hers and began praying for them. But while I was praying, this girl reached up, thinking I was her boyfriend, and just started rubbing my hand in somewhat of an intimate way that was on her shoulder. So I froze. And after a few seconds that felt like minutes, I grabbed this guy's hand with my free hand and replaced my hand with his as subtly as possible. I didn't think they noticed, and neither know to this day, and now they're engaged 7 years later."
Touche, good sir.
Yes.
Touche.
Way to save
This
that.
guy is a wingman.
Yes, he is.
Like that was like the move that like brought him to the next level. He's like he'd never make that move, and actually it was the youth pastor.
It was the youth pastor all
Good
along.
job.
Brandon said, "My most embarrassing youth ministry moment was when I was giving a talk in front of a bunch of middle schoolers, and I was describing my early childhood love for Toy Story. I talked about how my bunk bed was Toy Story themed. My room was also Toy Story themed. I had all the Toy Story toys, and I said, quote, I even had a big old Woody."
Oh. No.
The adults were the first to laugh, and then all the students followed. That was when I realized nothing else I said after that mattered.
Nope, you're done.
Time to go home.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're just.
Never mind.
Why is that important? Why is that integral to the message, my dude?
He had a big old Woody. That's fine.
Yeah, that's why he had to
Back
tell him.
off.
What was the punchline? You need to have a Woody for the Lord or something? Like,
I hope not. I hope not. That won't preach.
On this episode of Sermons That Should Never Be Preached.
yeah. Well, hey, you're doing great.
Yes.
Just stop talking about.
Take notes.
Yeah.
Take notes, everybody.
Just stop it.
We'll do a couple more here. This is from Kayla. Before our church had a youth worship team, we used YouTube videos for our worship. And one time during youth group worship, an ad popped up between songs.
Weird.
It was a bra commercial.
Weird.
So I quickly pressed skip. But the next one that popped up in front of all the kids was a condom commercial.
This has been on so many times.
There's like 50 of those stories that have been sent in.
Like now, I mean, it's just a dime a dozen now.
It's a dime a dozen. Yep, you're right.
Again, just a reminder, pay for the subscription, please.
What
What
are the chances it goes from a bra
to
a condom commercial?
Of all commercials to be on there.
That's infinitely worse.
This is from Holly. Holly said, my husband and I had just accepted a role as children's pastors, and we were doing our first big event in front of the entire church. And 2 of the girls in our church had the last name Horn, and my husband needed a couple of volunteers for the sermon. So the 2 girls were sitting next to each other, and they raised their hands to volunteer during the message. Unfortunately, he couldn't remember their first names. So in front of the entire church, he pointed to them and said, yeah, right there. The 2 little horny girls come up.
I knew it. I was like going through every possible bad thing that could happen, and that was exactly. That's a dad, though. Is that not a dad?
Yeah, that's a dad for sure. I've been to a lot of secular concerts. I've heard that said from from the mic.
From a stage before.
Hey, check out these horny chicks.
Oh God!
You don't expect to hear that during a child's sermon.
But let's like also go those girls got picked on throughout. I mean, again,
for sure.
High school,
they could have been
middle school.
homeschooled, but like if they were in public school, right? I would have homeschooled them if that was their last name. But in public school,
that's not a name you go to public school with. We'll say that now.
You get roasted
yes, I will dig horny girls right there.
So thank you for listening to this episode of Youth Group Chronicles, everybody. If you have stories that you want to send in, ygchronicles@gmail.com. You might just be featured on this show. Definitely email those in.
We want to hear from you.
Yes,
an announcement. We've been saying it throughout the beginning of season 3 here. Youth Group Chronicles is going on the road. So if you have an event, so let's say a conference, maybe it's something you do at your church, maybe it's your youth group. If you want Youth Group Chronicles to come to your event, you can book us to do that. And basically, we will record an episode live with your audience. So we'll bring your audience will get to live react. We will have a co-host with me to do that. And again, obviously, like this isn't the most family friendly. Some of these episodes, there's some stories that come through, so we can even vet some stories with maybe a pastor or something if that's like a concern. Like we'll just say, hey, this is what we were thinking, and then we'll keep it more age appropriate. But if you would like us to come, email us at ygchronicles@gmail.com for details, and we would love to do your event. Cool. So that's what's coming down. TikTok is still kicking, and then Instagram is YG Chronicles. That's the handle you can check out as well for videos there. So thanks everybody for listening to the show. Pastor Chad, Dustin, thanks again, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Honored to have you here.
A pleasure. Thank you. Love you, dude.